Fishermen in Louisiana have been sounding the alarm about a redfish shortage for years, and now the need for protections is growing. Here to talk about the fish and their numbers is Patrick Banks with the Louisiana Department of Wildlife and Fisheries. Thank you so much for joining us.
Well, thank you for having me.
So first, let's get to the bottom of this. What's causing a shortage with the redfish, and how long has this been going on?
Well, we just finished up our stock assessment for that species, and certainly the stock assessment numbers indicated that we have an issue with the population size, and so that issue has been out there for a number of years according to our most recent data. And so we have proposed to our commission that we need some tighter regulations for that species. And so we're looking at that at this time. We're going to be speaking to the public and holding some public meetings and some surveys with fishermen before we move forward with potential regulations.
All right, so this is going to be a group effort to figure out what needs to be done.
Absolutely. What we will do is we will propose a suite of regulatory options to our commission. We'll gather public input on those options, and then we'll come back to our commission and ask them to adopt one of those regulations.
So before we get into more solutions, let me ask you this. I mean, right now as it stands, how many redfish can fishermen bring in each year?
Yeah, right now the regulations are that each person each day can catch 5 redfish and keep them. And those redfish have to be a minimum size of 16 inches long with a maximum size of 27 inches long. That's called a slot limit. And then they're also allowed to have one of those 5 fish over that 27-inch maximum size.
So you said that this is a problem that's been going on for years. I mean, is it an overfishing problem? Is this an issue with our water? I mean, what's really causing this?
Yeah, this is a multitude of issues that's going on out there. And so the biggest issue is the loss of habitat over our time. And so with the marsh degrading and eroding away, those younger fish just don't have the best place to hide and to grow. And then our fishermen take more fish than what the population now can sustain. So it's not necessarily that the fishermen have caused this issue, but the population has dropped to such a level because of habitat loss and different things that we just can't allow that same level of harvest that we did previously.
So this is happening with redfish. Are we seeing this issue spreading to any other type of fish?
Yeah, unfortunately we are. We've got some issues with speckled trout as well, and the anglers out there know full well. We've proposed a set of new regulations for speckled trout that was recently adopted, and so those will go into effect as well. And so now, after the speckled trout issue, now we've moved to redfish, and based on the stock assessment, we see we need to make those kinds of changes to redfish as well.
So I know you said earlier that this is going to be a group effort. You have to talk to a lot of fishermen and figure out exactly what's the best solution. But is there an idea of about how much you want to reduce the fish that people are bringing home?
Yeah, so like I mentioned earlier, we have a suite of options that we can present to our commission. Our goal at the department is to try to reduce the amount of fish removed through harvest by 35% per year. And that will allow the population to rebuild itself. And there are a multitude of options that will achieve that 35% reduction in harvest. So we can increase the minimum size limit to say 18 inches, that's one option, and then reduce the amount of fish that folks can catch per day as another possible option.
Okay, so there's a lot going on right now. All right, so when is that meeting expected to happen? It's supposed to come up soon, right?
Well, it'll be several months before we go back in front of our commission, because it'll take some time for us to survey the angling community, to have public meetings if that's the way our commission wants us to go. And so we'll gather all of that input, and then we'll come back to the commission. We certainly hope to be back in front of our commission within about 4 to 5 months, but it may take us a little longer.
4 to 5 months, but it could take a little bit longer.
Yes.
All right, so the bottom line is we're going to be talking to a lot of different people, figure out what's the best solution, and hopefully we can get, our redfish population numbers back up and running. Is there anything else anybody needs to know about this?
No, just the anglers just need to know that this is not something that we ever want to do. At the agency, regulations are something we try to not do, but it's a last resort. And it's also something that, unfortunately, it's really the only tool we have in our toolbox. The population issues could be caused by a number of things, not the fishing itself necessarily, but the knob we have to turn is regulations on the fishing community, and so we don't do that lightly.
All right, well, thank you so much, Patrick Banks, for joining us, and hopefully we can get this redfish population issue under control.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much.